Hi everyone. So last week I was able to get my hands on Nothing Phone 1. Full disclosure, this is not mine. I actually borrowed it from a fellow YouTuber, TQNet, and I gave him my Pixel 6a so that we both can actually see what we are missing out on. So if you want to watch his experience on Pixel 6a, I will link his video in the description box. There is one thing I want to clear before starting this video. I do not care or even like these glyph lights. And even if I've ordered my phone, which I actually did and got cancelled, I didn't buy this phone because of its unique design. I was ordering this phone because of its overall package. So if you want to watch more about glyph lights, this is not the video for you. I'm just gonna come out and say this is not the best experience I've had on a smartphone. See, Nirupam already updated this phone to the Nothing OS 1.1.2, so I had no way to go back and test the previous stable version. So I'm gonna test what I have right now, and that's what make me feel that this is a beta phone at best. I'll start with the bugs I faced from the first hour. So when I was setting up this phone, I put this phone on charge and in 5 minutes the phone became unresponsive. Just to be clear, it doesn't happen with every charger. That was one particular case, but I faced it when I was actually setting up this phone. The second bug I faced in the second hour that my screen went blank. I mean, the wallpaper was there, but nothing was working. And this has happened multiple times on the same day. It gets fixed by locking, unlocking, but that was my first experience with this phone. And then I was watching some YouTube and I tried to rotate it. My auto rotate is always on, and this was the case here as well, but it was not auto rotating. So I turned off the phone and turned it on and turned off the auto rotate and turned it on, but it still was not working. And I know the sensor is not broken because it like come from landscape to portrait easily, but it doesn't go from portrait to landscape when I'm watching a video. Another thing that I noticed, the UI is not really smooth. I know it is 120Hz, but none of the apps, including the Google one, work on this phone with the same smoothness. There are a lot of frame drops and stutters, and every app takes some time to adapt to this refresh rate. And when I reached home the same day, I gave my partner to test this phone and she was able to unlock this phone with her fingerprint. This is the first time she was looking at this phone. I was shocked because it didn't happen to me on any phone before, including the Pixel 6a, which makes me think that could be the issue with Android 12. Nothing Support did reach out to me after watching that video and asked me a bunch of questions, so I'm waiting for some sort of resolution, but as of now, she can easily unlock my phone. And there were some minor crashes of keyboard and sometimes the app was not opening on the recent app. See, I'm not saying it's a bad phone, and most of the issues I have faced are because of the software, and I hope they will be fixed. I cannot promise that, actually, no one can, but I really hope that they will fix it. The thing is, the one thing I want to say to Nothing that they have to slow down. Do not release the update as fast as possible because they are new in this market. So they need to release the stable build. So all I just want to say, like, slow down, test the build thoroughly because this is going to be the first impression of this phone. And now let's talk about the phone. I really like how this phone looks and feels. It is big phone, but it's not very heavy. Or maybe it does not feel heavy because of the good weight distribution. It certainly feels really premium, and the way it looks does not make you feel that the phone is a mid-range phone. But the issues of getting moisture and dust particle are real. I can see some dust under the glass near the wireless charging coil. It's not visible easily, but with glyph light and under direct sunlight you can see it. On the front, it has a 6.5-inch AMOLED display, which is again a mid-range display. You can see the green tint easily on this display. It's not a bad screen, but it's pretty average for this price. You can actually get better screen in this price. Only unique thing about this display is the symmetrical bezels, and it makes this phone look really premium. Yes, the brightness is not very good, but it is okay for day-to-day use. My biggest issue with the screen brightness is the auto brightness. So when you enable the auto brightness, the by default brightness is actually really low. I think the sensors are tuned for a brighter display. So when I turn on that adaptive brightness, it actually brings down the brightness really low. The phone only supports HDR on YouTube, but not on any other OTT platform. The HDR performance rather meh. Sometimes it makes the dark area really dark, but otherwise watching YouTube or Netflix on this phone was a decent experience. The speakers on the other hand was kind of really average. So the 80% volume comes from the bottom speaker and it is more or less flat. So in the speaker department, I wouldn't even call it a stereo speaker because most of the sound comes from the speaker. In my opinion, the Snapdragon 778G is the best mid-range processor you can use right now. It is the same processor in this phone, but it's a little bit modified. That's why it's a plus version. So it can support the wireless charging. And in my usage, it performs great. Phone never got hot in my usage, not even once. And once the app adapt to that high refresh rate, the phone works absolutely fine. So no issue on the performance side. It is not a gaming phone. I mean, you can do the casual gaming, but this is a premium looking phone for day to day tasks. And if there were no bugs in the software department, I would have recommended this phone to mostly everyone in this price bracket. But unfortunately, that's not the case. I know a lot of tech reviewer actually praised about the haptic on this phone. I can actually agree on that to a certain point, but it's nowhere close to any iPhone, Samsung, or Pixel phones. The thing is, I feel the vibration motor is a little bit too strong, and there should be an option to reduce it. And also, this doesn't have that sort like tick sort of feeling. It's more like thrr. I'll try to show it on the speaker. I mean, you can try the headphones and try it. I'm not sure whether you'll be able to hear it, but here is a example. For biometrics, you get an optical fingerprint sensor as well as face unlock. Fingerprint sensor is fast, sometimes way too fast that it opens with unregistered fingerprints. But placement is quite low and I need to adjust my hand to unlock this phone. And the face unlocks works in only certain scenarios. In challenging light environment, it might not work. The battery life on the other hand is actually pretty good. I was able to get around 7 hours of screen on time. There is no way actually I can show you right now because the UI is as bad as a Pixel UI and there is a lot of bug in that battery section. But I was really happy with the battery life. Also the charging speeds are really good. I'm not using the official charger. I have a Motorola 68-watt charger. So it charged this phone from 20 to 80% in 30 minutes and the last 20% it took around 28 minutes. So for 20 to 80% it was really fast. So I'm happy with that. Now let's talk about the cameras, and on paper they are really good cameras. They are both 50 megapixel camera. I just think the nothing need to work on their processing. So let's start with the videos first. If I just talk about the daytime video, the colors are fine, not oversaturated, but there is a lot of movement in the camera. It becomes quite blurry at times, especially while walking. But when you are stable and recording the surroundings, it is okay. Let's check the audio as well. This is the rear camera sample and I'm walking right now, and this is a little bit indoor area, although the lighting is good, but I can see a lot of jitters here. So I think in daylight it works better, but in low light it's not very good, and you can see the sound coming from the microphone itself. Well, this is the front camera recording and it's only limited to 1080p 30 frames per second. I'm walking right now. I see that the stabilization is not very good and it's cropping in, so I was expecting it to have some EIS. But otherwise the quality looks okay. You guys let me know. If I talk about the photos, I took some camera samples from the native camera and I felt the photos lack a good amount of details. Also the dynamic range is not very good. So I installed the Google camera to test it side by side. First thing you will notice right off the bat that the Gcam produce a over contrasted look like Pixels have, and it's more cooler tone. And I would say this nothing native camera does produce a brighter image and it will look good at first, but Gcam definitely has more details. The other thing Gcam does better in the colors. I feel the green produced on the Gcam is much better than it was produced on the native camera from nothing. The dynamic range is also better on Gcam. You will also get the same portrait look like Pixel, and I have no idea what nothing doing with their portrait camera. But there are certain scenarios I prefer the brighter look, like in this left shot. It looks a little bit better on the native camera. Even on the front camera, I think Gcam does not work really well. The Gcam made my skin look like a lot darker and there are a lot of patches here. And if I just talk about the night shows, I think the nothing lacks here as well because it doesn't have a dedicated night mode option. So whenever it will show you that night mode option, you'll be able to turn it on. So I think the Gcam also produced better images here and even brighter this time. As you can see, the details on the Gcam are much better as compared to the native camera. So what's the conclusion? I think it is a good phone, but it's not a great primary phone, at least not as of now. And when I was posting my issues on Twitter, there were a lot of people sending their issues as well in the like messages. So I think a lot of people are facing those issues as well. Yes, the fingerprint issue was like kind of restricted to my. I haven't seen it happening with other people, but I think people are not even trying that. So yes, I think nothing needs to work on the software definitely. See, the time when OnePlus came into the market, there were only bigger companies that were competing, so that flagship killer actually worked. But right now, you can find a lot of phone in the similar price range that can actually perform better than this one. So nothing really needs to bring their A game if they want to survive in this market. The unique design is okay, but it gets boring after a certain point. And don't get me wrong, I am okay with their vision, and this is a really premium looking phone in this price. And I will certainly choose a premium phone with mid-range processor, but it should work day-to-day like task really well. So a balance wall is always preferable, but they need to work on their software. Do let me know your experience with this phone and are you okay with those bugs? And a shout out to TQNet for letting me try this phone. And if you have any question, you know where to find me. My name is Rohit. I'll see you in the next one. Till then.